I had already spent $90,000 on my sister's wedding, but it wasn't enough. She slapped me in front of 200 guests. So, in exactly 10 minutes, I locked every single credit card and turned her perfect day into a living hell. The sound of her hand hitting my face echoed through the reception hall louder than the DJ's music. 200 guests, friends, extended family, business partners, went dead silent. My cheek stung, radiating heat, but I didn't flinch. I didn't yell. I just looked at my sister, Vanessa, standing there in her $8,000 custom lace gown, chest heaving, eyes manic with the kind of rage only a spoiled child denied a toy can muster. "You are selfish!" she screamed, her voice cracking as she pointed a manicured finger at my face. "You have millions, and you're going to ruin my special day over a stupid check? Fix this, OP. Fix this right now or get out." My mother rushed forward, not to check if I was okay, but to soothe the bride. "He'll pay it, sweetie, don't worry," Mom whispered loud enough for the front tables to hear, shooting me a look that said obey. "He's just being difficult. He knows family comes first." I slowly raised a hand to touch my jaw. I looked at the crowd. I looked at the untouched seafood tower I had paid for. I looked at the champagne flutes filled with vintage Dom Perignon I had paid for. Then I looked at my watch. It was 8:14 p.m. "You want me to fix it?" I asked, my voice terrifyingly calm. "Okay, Vanessa. I'll fix it." I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and opened my banking app. But I wasn't transferring the money she wanted. I was initiating a chargeback sequence I had prepared days ago, just in case. She thought the slap was a power move. She didn't realize it was the button that detonated her entire life. To understand why my own sister assaulted me at her wedding, you have to understand the dynamic of my family. I'm 29M, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the invisible infrastructure of this family. My sister, Vanessa, 26F, is the golden child. It started young. If Vanessa got AC on a test, my parents blamed the teacher. If I got an A-, they asked why it wasn't an A+. When Vanessa wrecked her first car, my dad bought her a newer one to make her feel better. When I needed a car for college, I was told to get a job at a warehouse. And I did. I worked hard. While Vanessa was party hopping through 3 different colleges on my parents' dime, I was building a software logistics company. By 25, I sold my first startup. By 28, I was sitting on a portfolio worth mid-8 figures. My family didn't care about the work, but they loved the result. Suddenly, I wasn't the boring nerd anymore. I was the family bank. "OP, the roof is leaking, and your father's back is bad," Mom would say. I'd write a check for $12,000. "OP, Vanessa needs a reliable car for her new internship," Dad would say. I'd lease her a Range Rover. I did it because I wanted their approval. I wanted to buy the love they gave Vanessa for free. But looking back, I realized I was just paying a usage fee for being their son. Then came the engagement. Vanessa met Mark, a guy who works as a part-time fitness instructor and full-time visionary, meaning he's unemployed. When they announced the wedding, my parents sat me down for a serious talk. "We want to give Vanessa the wedding of her dreams," Mom said, tearing up. "But with your father's retirement, we can't afford much. We know you've done so well, OP. We were hoping you could pitch in." Pitch in turned out to be code for fund the whole thing. I agreed to a budget. I told them, strictly, I will put $50,000 into a wedding account. That is the limit. Do not ask for a penny more. For a normal person, $50,000 is a dream wedding. For Vanessa, it was an insult. The demand started small. The venue I want requires a $10,000 non-refundable deposit, but it's outside the budget. Vanessa texted me 2 months in. "Can you just cover this one thing separately? Please, big bro?" I sighed and paid it. Strike one. Then it was the dress. "The one in the budget looks like a rag," she cried to our mother. Mom called me, guilt-tripping me about how A bride only gets one day. Another $5,000 wired. Strike two. By the week of the wedding, I had spent close to $85,000. I felt like an ATM with a pulse. But I kept telling myself, just get through the wedding, then you can go low contact. Then came the rehearsal dinner, 2 days before the wedding. We were at a high-end steakhouse, which I was paying for, obviously. Mark, the groom, was knocking back scotch like it was water. Vanessa tapped her glass for attention. I have a huge announcement. She squealed. Mark and I have decided on our honeymoon. We are going to the Four Seasons in Bora Bora for 3 weeks. Overwater bungalow, private chef, first-class flights. The table cheered. My mom clapped her hands. Oh, you deserve it, honey. I frowned. That trip easily cost $40,000 to $50,000. I leaned over to my dad. I didn't know Mark had that kind of money saved up. Dad coughed awkwardly. Well, actually, Vanessa was hoping this would be your wedding gift. I froze. My fork hovered halfway to my mouth. My gift? Dad, I've already paid for the venue, the catering, the dress, the flowers, and this dinner. That's nearly $90,000. That is the gift. Vanessa heard me. Her smile dropped faster than a stone. O.P., she said, her voice sugary sweet but eyes cold. Don't be tacky talking about money right now. We'll discuss the transfer later. There won't be a transfer, I said loud enough for the table to hear. I told you the limit was $50,000. I've nearly doubled that. I am not paying for a luxury vacation. The silence was deafening. Mark looked at his shoes. My mother looked horrified. We'll talk about this later. My father hissed, gripping my arm. We did talk about it. For the next 48 hours, my phone was blown up. Mom, 11 p.m. You are breaking her heart. It's just money to you. Why are you so greedy? Vanessa, 2 a.m. If you don't book the flights by Friday morning, don't even bother showing up. Dad, 8 a.m. Be the bigger man, son. She's your little sister. I didn't book the flights. I didn't reply. I just showed up to the wedding, determined to play the role of the supportive brother one last time, eat my $200 per plate meal, and leave. The ceremony was beautiful. Mostly because everything in it was top-tier quality paid for by my Amex Black card. I stood in the groomsman line. Yes, I was a groomsman, but not the best man. That honor went to Mark's frat brother who I'd never met. During the cocktail hour, I was standing by the bar when Mark approached me. He looked sweaty. Hey man, he said, trying to act casual. So, Vanessa is freaking out. She checked her email and didn't see the flight confirmations. She thinks it's a glitch? It's not a glitch, Mark. I took a sip of my drink. I'm not paying for it. Bro, come on. Mark chuckled nervously. We already told everyone we're going. It'll look embarrassing if we don't. Plus, I can't afford that right now. I'm in between opportunities. That sounds like a you problem, I said, turning away. Mark ran off to the bridal suite. 10 minutes later, my mother storming toward me across the lawn. Give me your credit card, she demanded, hand outstretched. Right now. I will book it myself using your info. You are ruining her mood, O.P. She is crying her makeup off. No, I said simply. I am your mother. She shrieked. People started to turn their heads. You have millions sitting in the bank doing nothing. Your sister deserves happiness. Why do you hate this family? I don't hate the family, Mom. I hate being used. The answer is no. She stomped off, muttering about how I was an ungrateful miser. I thought that was the end of it. I thought they would wait until after the reception to scream at me. I underestimated Vanessa's entitlement. The reception began. The grand entrance happened. They cut the cake. Then, the speeches began. I wasn't asked to give a speech, despite paying for the microphone they were holding, but Vanessa grabbed the mic after the maid of honor finished. She looked beautiful, but her eyes were locked on me at table number 2. I want to thank everyone for coming, she said, her voice trembling slightly. It's been such a perfect day. Well, almost perfect. It's sad when some family members care more about their bank account ledgers than their own flesh and blood. A murmur went through the crowd. My stomach tightened. She was doing this. Now. My brother. She pointed at me. Up. He promised me a wedding gift. He promised to send Mark and me on our dream honeymoon. But today, he decided to break that promise because he's jealous. He's jealous that I found love and he's alone with his money. She started walking off the stage, toward my table, still holding the mic. The room was dead quiet. So OP. She stood right in front of me. I'm giving you one last chance to not be the villain. Write the check. Or book the flight. Right now. In front of everyone. Prove you love me. I stood up slowly. I could feel the heat of 200 pairs of eyes on me. My business partners were at the next table. My cousins were staring. Vanessa, I said calmly, without a microphone, but my voice carried. I spent $90,000 on this wedding. I bought your car. I paid off Mom and Dad's mortgage last year. I am not paying $45,000 for you to go to Bora Bora. You are an adult. Pay for it yourself. She stared at me, mouth open. The rejection didn't process. You refuse? Yes. That was when it happened. She dropped the microphone. It hit the floor with a loud thud. Then she swung her arm back and slapped me across the face with everything she had. Smack. Get out! She screamed. You're dead to me. My cheek throbbed. I tasted a little blood inside my lip. I looked at my mother, who was nodding in agreement with Vanessa. I looked at Mark, who was smirking. Something inside me snapped. Not a loud, angry snap. A cold, quiet, mechanical snap. It was the sound of a bridge burning. I took out my phone. You want me to leave? I asked. Sure. But since I'm dead to you, I assume you don't want my money paying for this party anymore. I don't need your money. Vanessa yelled. Just go. Understood. I said. I opened the app for the catering company. I knew the owner. I had used them for corporate events. I had paid the final $15,000 installment just that morning. I hit cancel payment. Then I opened the venue contract in my email. The clause stated that the responsible party must remain on premises for the duration of the alcohol service, or liability shifts to the secondary contact. I was the responsible party. I looked at the venue manager, who was standing by the wall looking terrified. I waved him over. I'm leaving, I told the manager loud enough for Vanessa to hear. I am formally rescinding my liability for this event. Also, the credit card on file for the open bar? I'm locking it right now. I tapped lock card on my banking app. Have a great night, I said to Vanessa. I turned around and started walking toward the exit. Behind me, the chaos began. I didn't storm out and peel away in my car like they do in movies. I walked calmly to the valet, tipped him $50, and got into my sedan. My cheek was still throbbing where Vanessa had slapped me, a physical reminder of the bridge that had just been incinerated. I drove 10 minutes down the road to a Marriott where I had booked a suite earlier that day. See, I'm in logistics. I plan for worst-case scenarios. And frankly, knowing my sister, a disaster was statistically probable. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed, opened my laptop, and poured myself a glass of water. It was 8:45 p.m. For the first 20 minutes, my phone was strangely silent. This is what I call the disbelief gap. They didn't think I was serious. They thought I was just throwing a tantrum, and would be back in 10 minutes with my tail between my legs to pay the bill. My mother had conditioned them to believe that my boundaries were just suggestions. Then, at 9:02 p.m., the first domino fell. My phone lit up. It wasn't my mom or Vanessa. It was my cousin Mike, 25M, one of the few relatives I actually tolerate because he works in trades and understands the value of $1. Mike, bro. Where are you? The venue manager just cut the music. Mike, wait. The bar staff is packing up the alcohol. It's chaos. I texted back, I left. I'm not paying for it, Mike. Get out of there before the bill comes. Mike Elmio. Understood. Heading to the parking lot. You are a legend. The play-by-play via text message is a unique form of entertainment. While I sat in air-conditioned silence, Mike sent me updates from the front lines. Apparently, 10 minutes after I left, the venue coordinator approached my father. The open bar had a consumption cap that I had pre-authorized on my card. When I locked the card via my banking app, the pre-auth failed for the next round of drinks. The system flagged it immediately. 9:15 p.m. Mike, Uncle Dave is screaming at the manager. He's turning purple. He's pointing at the door saying my son is good for it. Manager isn't buying it. Says they need a valid card now or the party is over. I could picture it perfectly. My father, a man who hadn't paid a significant bill in 5 years since I took over his finances, trying to bluff his way through a 5-figure demand. 9:30 p.m. Mom, pick up the phone. The manager is threatening to call the police. They are humiliating your sister. 9:31 p.m. Mom, OP, stop this game right now. Unlock the card. Vanessa is sobbing in the bathroom. 9:33 p.m. Dad, you ungrateful little SHT. You are embarrassing this family. Fix this or don't bother coming home. Asterisk. I didn't reply. I just looked at the messages detachedly. Don't bother coming home? That was funny. They lived in my house. The deed was in my name. I paid the property taxes. I paid the utilities. That realization triggered the next phase of my plan. In the Reddit stories I listen to, people often talk about the nuclear revenge checklist. I opened my spreadsheet. It was time to audit the family support budget. Item 1, the Range Rover. Vanessa's car was a lease in my name. I paid $1,450 a month for it. She called it her baby. I opened the leasing portal. I reported the vehicle as no longer in possession of authorized driver. Then I contacted the towing company my logistics firm uses. I sent them the location of the wedding venue. Instruction, recovery. Key is likely with the valet. Item 2, the cell phones. I had a family plan with 5 lines. Unlimited data, international roaming, the works. I logged into Verizon. I selected 3 lines: Mom, Dad, Vanessa. Action, suspend service. Reason, lost/stolen device. I admit, this was petty. But after being slapped in front of my business partners, petty felt like justice. Item 3, the housing. My parents lived in a nice 4-bedroom colonial I had bought 3 years ago. They paid 0 rent. They didn't even pay for the landscaping. I opened my email and drafted a message to my real estate attorney. Subject, notice to vacate. Body, please prepare standard 30-day eviction notices for the occupants at address. No cause required as per month-to-month tenancy laws. I didn't hit send on that one yet. I wanted to save it. Back at the wedding, things were escalating from awkward to legal crisis. 9:50 p.m. Mike, bro, the cops are actually here. The caterer called them. They say it's theft of services because the second half of the payment bounced when you canceled it. I had canceled the final catering payment, $15,000, moments after the slap. The contract stated full payment was due before service completed. Since the transaction was reversed before it cleared, technically, they hadn't been paid. Mike, Vanessa is screaming at the cops. She's telling them to arrest you. The cop is telling her that since you aren't the groom, it's not your wedding, so the contract liability falls on the signatories. And who are the signatories? My parents. I had been smart enough to not sign the venue contract myself. I was just the third-party payer. The legal responsibility lay with Mr. and Mrs. Parents. 10:15 p.m. Mark, the groom. Yo man. This isn't cool. My mom is crying. You need to send the money. I know you're mad, but we can talk about the honeymoon later. Just pay the venue so we can leave. I finally decided to break my silence. Me, Mark, you wanted to go to Bora Bora? I hope you saved money for bail instead. I am done. The ATM is closed. Good luck with your wife. Then I blocked his number. I learned later what happened next from Mike. The venue manager, realizing I wasn't coming back and the card was dead, shut down the entire event. The lights went up. The DJ was told to stop. Staff began clearing plates, some while guests were still eating. The humiliation was absolute. 200 guests witnessed my sister screaming, my mother weeping and begging relatives for credit cards, everyone suddenly forgot their wallets, and the police taking statements from my father. The golden child facade had cracked. For years, my family pretended they were wealthy, successful, and perfect, using my money to paint over the cracks. Tonight, the paint peeled off. Around 11 p.m., I saw a tow truck notification on my phone, vehicle recovered. Vanessa's Range Rover was gone. She would be walking home in her wedding dress. I ordered room service, a burger and fries, and slept like a baby. The next morning, the flying monkeys arrived. This is a term for when toxic family members recruit others to guilt trip you. I woke up to 47 missed calls. Aunts, uncles, friends of my mom. Aunt Susan. How could you ruin her day? Family supports family. Uncle Bob. You have so much money, why are you being so greedy? They didn't know about the slap. Or if they did, they didn't care. To them, my money was community property. I sent a mass text to the family group chat. For those asking, Vanessa physically assaulted me in front of everyone because I refused to pay an additional $45,000 for a luxury honeymoon after already spending $90,000 on the wedding. If you think she deserves the money so much, please feel free to pool your funds and pay the venue bill yourselves. I am out. Then I left the group chat. But the real confrontation was inevitable. I knew they would come to my house. I wasn't there, but I had a Ring doorbell camera. At 10 a.m., my parents' car pulled up to my driveway. Vanessa was with them, still wearing part of her bridal makeup, looking like a raccoon. Mark was there too, looking hungover and terrified. They banged on my door. "Open up!" my dad yelled. "We know you're in there." I watched from my hotel room, sipping coffee. I activated the two-way audio on the doorbell. "I'm not home," I said through the speaker. Their heads snapped toward the camera. "You ruined my life!" Vanessa shrieked at the camera lens. "They are suing us. The venue is suing Mom and Dad for $22,000. You have to pay it." "I don't have to do anything," I replied calmly. "You assaulted me. Be glad I didn't press charges. Yet." "We are your parents," Mom cried. "We have no money. How will we pay this?" "Maybe you should sell the Range Rover," I said. "Oh wait, you can't. It's gone." Vanessa's face went pale. "My car? You took my car?" "My car," I corrected. "I took my car. We are going to stay here until you come out and fix this," Dad threatened. "If you don't leave my property in 5 minutes," I said, checking my watch, "I will call the police and have you trespassed. And Dad? Check your email. You might want to start looking for cardboard boxes." I hit the button to disconnect the audio. I saw them arguing in the driveway. Mark was waving his hands, looking like he wanted to run away. Vanessa was kicking my front door. Finally, they got in their car and left. I thought I had won. I thought the message was received. But I underestimated the level of delusion my sister operated on. She wasn't just going to be mad, she was going to try to destroy me publicly. 2 hours later, my business partner called me. "OP," he said, sounding concerned. "Why is there a viral TikTok of you with the caption 'Abusive brother steals wedding money'?" I sighed. "Send me the link." The TikTok video was a masterpiece of editing. It showed me, storming out of the wedding while Vanessa cried dramatically in Mark's arms. The caption read, "Millionaire brother abandons sister on her wedding day because he's too cheap to buy a gift. #toxic family #narcissist." It had 1.2 million views. My business partner, Dave, looked at me across the desk in my hotel room. "This is bad for the brand, OP. Comments are doxing your company. They're calling for a boycott." I felt a cold rage settle in my chest. Vanessa wanted a war? She was bringing a water gun to a nuclear standoff. "Dave," I said, opening my laptop. "Remember the videographer I hired? The one who cost $6,500? I signed the contract. I own the raw footage." I called the videographer immediately. He was hesitant at first, terrified of the drama, until I reminded him that I had paid his invoice, not Vanessa, and technically, the intellectual property belonged to me. 10 minutes later, I had the file. It was crystal clear. 4K resolution. High-quality audio. It showed the whole exchange, Vanessa demanding the money, me calmly refusing, her screaming, "Prove you love me!" and then the slap. The sound of her palm hitting my face was sickeningly loud. Then the kicker, her screaming, "I don't need your money!" followed by me walking away calmly. I posted the unedited clip to my own social media and tagged the viral TikTok account. Caption: Context matters. Assault isn't a tantrum. And for the record, I had already paid $90,000. The ATM is closed. Then I went to work on the legal front. Day 3, the eviction. The internet tide turned within hours. The video of the slap went viral, eclipsing her sob story. People analyzed the footage, pointing out Mark's smirk and my mother's enabling nod. Vanessa deleted her TikTok account by noon. But I wasn't done. I instructed my lawyer to serve the eviction notice to my parents. Since they had no lease and paid no rent, they were considered guests at will, under state law, but I gave them the formal 30-day notice to quit. I also sent a formal cease and desist letter regarding the defamation, threatening to sue for damages to my business reputation if they spoke my name publicly again. That evening my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I answered. "Op? It's Mark." His voice sounded shaky. "What do you want, Mark?" "Look, man," he stammered. "This is getting crazy. The venue is threatening to sue us. Vanessa is losing her mind. She's smashing things in the house. We need help. If you could just pay the venue bill, I promise we'll leave you alone." I laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. "Mark, you stood there and smirked while your wife assaulted me. You're an accessory. You're not getting a dime. And by the way, I'm evicting her parents, so you might want to check if your in-laws are planning to move into your one-bedroom apartment." There was a long silence. "Wait," Mark said. "Evicting? But they said the house was theirs." "They lied?" I said. "They own nothing." "Good luck, Mark." Day 14. The extinction burst. 2 weeks passed. I had moved into a new, gated condo complex to avoid them showing up at my door. I had security cameras installed everywhere. My mother tried the medical emergency card, a classic manipulation tactic. My aunt texted me. "Your father is in the hospital with chest pains. The stress you caused is killing him. Come now." I called the hospital directly. They had no record of him. I called my aunt back. "If he's sick, call an ambulance. If you're lying to get me to talk to them, lose my number." She blocked me. Good. The trash was taking itself out. Then came the day of the confrontation. I was leaving my office building. I saw them before they saw me. Vanessa, my mom, and my dad were standing by the security desk, arguing with the guard. Vanessa looked disheveled. The golden child, shine was gone. I could have gone out the back. I didn't. I walked right up to the turnstiles, safe behind the glass and security guards. "Op!" Mom screamed when she saw me. She tried to push past the guard, but he held her back. "You can't do this. We have nowhere to go. The bank accounts are empty." That sounds like a budgeting problem, I said, my voice magnified by the lobby acoustics. You stole my wedding, Vanessa screeched. She looked unhinged. You ruined my life. Mark left me. He filed for annulment yesterday. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. So Mark had bailed. Predictable. He left because the money tap turned off, Vanessa, I said. He married a bank account, not you. And now the account is closed. I am your father. Dad yelled, his face red. I demand you fix this. We are family. I looked at them. Really looked at them. For years I had seen them as giants, people whose approval I desperately needed. Now? They looked small. Pathetic. Just three grifters who had lost their mark. Family doesn't hit family, I said quietly. Family doesn't use family. You didn't raise a son, you raised an insurance policy. And the policy just expired. I turned to the head of security. These people are trespassing. Please call the police if they don't leave in 1 minute. I walked back to the elevators. Behind me, I heard Vanessa wailing, a sound of pure, spoiled defeat. I didn't look back. Update, 6 months later. It's been half a year since the slap. Life looks very different now. My parents were evicted. It was ugly. They trashed the house before leaving, smashed mirrors, poured concrete in the drains. It cost me $40,000 to repair. I sued them for damages. They didn't have the money, so the court garnished my father's meager pension. They are currently living in a small rental apartment 2 towns over, likely complaining to anyone who will listen about their ungrateful son. Vanessa is back with them. Mark did get the annulment based on fraud, apparently. She lied about her assets, claiming my money was hers. She works as a receptionist now. I heard through the grapevine she tried to sue me for emotional distress, but no lawyer would take the case after seeing the video. As for me, I took that $45,000 I would have spent on their honeymoon and booked a trip for myself. I went to the Alps, rented a chalet, and spent 2 weeks hiking and not answering my phone. The silence was expensive, but it was worth every penny. I'm currently in therapy, unlearning 29 years of conditioning. My therapist calls it deprogramming. I'm learning that no is a complete sentence. I've started dating a wonderful woman who, on our 3rd date, tried to pay for dinner because you shouldn't have to pay for everything. I almost cried. My family tries to reach out occasionally using burner phones or new email addresses. The messages range from begging, "We can't afford heat," to threatening, "You'll rot in hell." I don't read them anymore. I have an assistant who filters them into a folder marked evidence, in case I need a restraining order. People ask me if I regret it. If I regret missing the wedding, ruining the family dynamic, losing my parents. I look at my bank account, which is growing. I look at my home, which is peaceful. I look at the mirror and see a man who finally stood up for himself. And I say, my only regret is that I didn't do it sooner.